All right, what's up, world? Welcome to another edition of I Mix What I Like. imixwhatilike.org at I Mix What I Like for all your relevant social media. Again, I'm Jared Ball, happy to be your host. Very happy to be joined in this discussion with Stevie Dr. View Johnson, who, among many other things, is a manager of education and diversity outreach for the American Song Archives at the Woody Guthrie Center, the Bob Dylan Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I had been privileged with having been invited by him to come to an event that unfortunately COVID-19 interrupted in terms of my involvement, but we're here to follow up and have a little conversation with him about that work. So Dr. View, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, man. This is awesome. I appreciate the invitation.
So let's just start from scratch with a few minutes on the basics. What was the event that I was to attend? And let's talk a little bit about, as we were just discussing before we went live here, this merging of hip hop and activism and Black Wall Street.
Sure. So once again, appreciate the opportunity. The event was called Fire in Little Africa. So there is a photo. It's a public domain. It says Tulsa Race Riot. It says Little Africa on Fire, Tulsa Race Riot, 1921. And it's a bird's eye view of Greenwood burning during the massacre. And so I was looking at the photo and it just really resonated with me. I was like, man, like the fact that we had just so much elegance and so much economic wealth in Black Wall Street in the early 1900s. I was like, it's just really a disgrace that we haven't had an opportunity to really explore and dive in from a hip hop intersectional approach of like how we can pay homage to those individuals who truly brought something to the table that, in my opinion, I've never seen or heard before. And so I really just wanted to really dive into my own like responsibility as a scholar and as a DJ and a producer to say, how can I bring this to the forefront from a historical yet contemporary approach? And so when I was privileged to receive a job with the Woody Guthrie Bob Dylan Center, I was really kind of like, yo, I'm a hip hop guy, 30 years old. Like, what does my lens have to do with Woody and Bob Dylan, music? And I remember they said, just trust the process. And to be honest, that's all I've been doing my entire career. But I kind of flipped it on them. I was like, what are y'all doing for 2021? And I work for the George Kaiser Family Foundation, which is a very prominent component of anything that happens in Tulsa, from economic development, commerce. And I just really wanted to see, the value of what happened in 1921, if they still had that same mentality. So I said, what are you all doing for 2021? This was in 2019. And they said, what do you mean? I said, what are you all doing to commemorate the 100-year, of the massacre? And they said, we didn't have anything in mind at the time. And so I said, I can do this work as manager of education diversity outreach, but let me executive produce and curate a compilation hip hop album in commemoration of Black Wall Street. And it's all Oklahoma talent, from producers to engineers to rappers, singers, poets.
And you already have this together? This has already been put together?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
I'm saying, is the album already put together, or the mixtape already put together?
So that was what we were inviting you to. So the weekend, 2 weeks ago, we invited about 30 people from around the country, hip hop scholars, journalists, music business executives, represent Def Jam Records, and individuals got to not only witness us create the album, which is not complete yet, it's still in the mixing and mastering phase, but literally we had 6 studio rooms, and I use quotation because there weren't actually studio spaces. We were utilizing the Greenwood Cultural Center, which is on Greenwood, as well as called the Skyline Mansion, which used to be called the Brady Mansion. Brady was a ringleader for the KKK, one of the members who actually kind of galvanized like the massacre during the time. Felix Jones, who is a Tulsa alum, Booker T. Washington alum, who played football at the University of Arkansas, played for the Dallas Cowboys, bought the mansion and renamed it to Skyline Mansion. So for the past 5 days, from March 12th to the 16th, a total of 75 hours, we recorded over 100 songs in the Greenwood Cultural Center and Skyline Mansion. So yeah, those individuals got a chance to witness us create the album, as well as learn about how we're trying to bring this history to the forefront. So they got to meet members from the Tulsa Race Massacre Centennial Commission, which is being tasked to develop these commemorative events that are going to be, happening in 2021, as well as other prominent figures, state, local, elected officials. And so we really try to immerse people in the culture that we're doing in Tulsa. So that was the event, Final Africa. We got those people here, and they got to witness, for 5 days, what we're trying to offer and bring to the forefront in regards to hip hop and community activist work.
So you were organizing also a surprise that we weren't supposed to talk about. Is there something you could tell us about it now, since I missed it?
Yeah.
Man, and I didn't want to belabor the point, man, and because I don't want to stay in that space, but it was really killing me not to be able to make it, man. Like I was really looking forward to this.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So unofficially, the album is not coming out. Final Africa is not coming out till February of 2021. And before I get to the surprise, it's not just an album. So we're developing an album, a documentary, and curriculum development. And so any song that makes the album, myself as an educator, as well as educators in primarily Tulsa public schools, we're all going to come together. Whatever makes the album, we're going to develop curriculum from kindergarten all the way to higher education about, this content is not being taught in schools. And so we have the backing of Senator Matthews, who's been one of the prominent figures of getting the Tulsa Race Massacre Centennial Commission off the ground. And we're trying to get this passed locally, as well as statewide, of getting this curriculum taught in schools. On top of the surprise, so unofficially, I wanted to give guests, as well as people who have supported me throughout the years, a glimpse of what to expect for 2021. And so I did a social experiment. As I mentioned, I'm a producer, and so I just been creating some beats, and I was like, man, I just want to just release some music, and I just kind of pinpointed people that I really felt connected with my sound. And it's like, I wanted to drop an album, and I called it Invisible Man. And Invisible Man is just an homage to Ralph Ellison, who is from Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, graduated from Douglas High School. And part of my dissertation was focusing on his teacher, Zelia Brew, who he pays a lot of respect and homage about helping him find his voice and his identity. And it really resonated with me because Black women have always been kind of that cornerstone that has helped me kind of navigate education or just my identity as a whole. So I was like, how can I connect the past to contemporary in hopes of reimagining what we want society to look like? And so the question I was posing is, how do I make the invisible visible? And so at the core, Black people just don't feel like people take our lives serious, that we're viewed as other than human. And I was just like, how do I provide a piece of work that connects to Ralph Ellison's book, but also connects to how Black people feel today, primarily in a Trumpism world that really doesn't give a fuck about, us. And so for 2 days in November, I got 17 Oklahoma City and Tulsa and Lawton artists. It's all Oklahoma talent. And then that's just my approach. I'm not trying to trying to do something that's the West Coast is doing or the East Coast or Chicago. It's like we have something special here in Tulsa, and I wanted to highlight that. So for 2 days, these artists who are also on the Fire in Little Africa project, we recorded The Invisible Man. So Thursday night, I did an intimate setting to where I took everyone to the Osage Mountains. It's a beautiful landscape in Tulsa, and we listened to the project. It's about 45 minutes. I had the lyrics for everyone to read along. It's as if it's a story, but it's sonically something that connects jazz and classical music and funk and, the golden age hip hop, boom bap, as well as trap. And it's really just at the core is like, how do I get people to understand the mindset of Black Wall Street is that, me as a 30-year-old who's truly seeing the world different, I need mentors like yourself and others to help me like make these connections of like the historical elements that I may be lacking. Not even just as a scholar, but just as a Black man who's trying to find ways to better support and liberate my people. And so from a sonic perspective, I was trying to connect, this mode of the William Grant Stills and the Gil Scott Heron and, the Nina Simone and, all these individuals, the Gap Band, all these influences that really are a part of the Tulsa sound. But how do I have connections with Ralph Ellison? Like, what would Ralph Ellison say about this project? And that was a question that I posed to someone, and they said, I think Ralph Ellison would say, I need to go back and read my book. And so that was just something for me, just confirmation that this is exactly what I need to be doing. But yeah, that was a surprise. We had about 30 people who came and listened to the project. And it is like a true view of what to expect from the Tulsa sound, Oklahoma sound, as we get ready for 2021.
So as we do approach 2021 and this a century out from the nightmare really of what happened in Tulsa and Black Wall Street, what is this, as you said, the essence of Black Wall Street that you want people to take away from your work in this project? And then we'll definitely want to come back and make sure you let everybody know, myself included, how we can get a chance to hear it ourselves. And just as you were talking, it was just all these little needles I felt being dug in. Like on the one hand, I was trying to say, like, there's so many things that the pandemic is causing people to struggle with, and I didn't want to, selfishly, overdo it with my own thing. But I was really like, damn it, But anyway, but what is this essence of Black Wall Street again as we get ready to come into next year?
I'll compare it to like being a DJ. So I've been a DJ for over 10 years, and I always say you got your turntables and your mixer, you got your headphones, you got your microphone, and it's like you see the crowd and you got a song that's playing and you're looking at your crowd and you're like, okay, if they're rocking with this, I know they're gonna rock with this. So I'm blending the song in my headphones while at the same time somebody's trying to request a song, as well as I gotta make an announcement on the microphone to give somebody a shout out, as well as somebody else is just like watching what I'm doing. And it's like, that's how I see the mindset of Black Wall Street, is that I consider myself a reincarnated O.W. Gurley. The fact that the economic capital that he had, asset of primarily being an outsider. I'm not from Tulsa, I'm from Long Beach, Texas, but I've been in Oklahoma for 10 years. And it's just, I see the world different. I see that these Black people over here are having beef with these Black people over here. And I'm like, we all legitimately want the same thing, but it's about people wanting to control the narrative. And for me, it's like, I don't care about the narrative. I just care about people executing and putting their egos to the side. So for me, in regards to this project, is the fact that we had 60 artists who participated in this 5-day retreat, and egos were put to the side. All I saw was smiles. those 5 days, people wanted to collaborate, people understanding like, yo, we've just developed an access that could potentially could be compared to in Atlanta. And even I make the justification that if the massacre didn't happen, Tulsa would be that Atlanta in regards to the hip hop scene. So it's the fact that we're just truly understanding our power when we truly bring everyone together, and we learn to listen, and we learn to hold each other accountable, and we learn to apologize when we mess up, or just truly being able to like lean on each other, because my success truly is connected to your success. Like I'm looking, as a side note, I'm looking forward to your book, because this process is making me think about, Black Wall Street in regards to how do I get the capital to where we don't have to depend upon the federal government about certain things, that we can truly figure out as a community what are the needs that we need to be having. And so like this project is a legacy project. Like we're not looking to make money off this project, but it is a foundational piece for us to truly liberate ourselves and find creative ways to know that the creatives in Tulsa, Oklahoma run the scene. Like if there's anything that people want to happen creatively, economically, spiritually, the creatives are the ones who run that. And for us to have communication and to understand that for us to not only circulate the Black dollar, but to circulate this mindset of Black Wall Street, there's nothing that we can't achieve. And that's the hope that I have for this project, that people will feel that and experience it, and we'll see after the fact how we're not only just creating music and revolutionizing the hip hop industry, but we're revolutionizing like the culture in Tulsa, in Oklahoma, and also sharing that knowledge and wealth with other Black Wall Streets across the world. Oakland is a place that I think about all the time, primarily with the Golden State Warriors leaving and the Oakland Raiders leaving, and I believe the Oakland Athletics potentially leaving. It's like, what resources could we provide to them with Ferguson, with Flint, with New Orleans? And so it's really just creating this like hub of like knowledge and wealth, and how we support each other and talk about resources and policies and procedures to get ready for, the things that are coming down the pipeline, for us to be willing to talk about pandemic issues and environmental justice ourselves and not depending upon the government, and for us to have policies and things in place is what I'm hoping that will, revolutionize us moving forward. So Finally with Africa, the project is just a stepping stone. I'm thinking more so about what we do moving forward.
Well, I love what it sounds like you're trying to do and have done. And again, it's really breaking me up that I wasn't able to be there. But I will say, I think that, and I appreciate you looking forward to my book, but I will say, I think it might pose a bit of a challenge in that I don't focus on Tulsa or Black Wall Street, but in some of the related ideas, my argument is a challenge to some of the basic concepts that people often associate with Black Wall Street. So, for instance, when you say that we would want to develop an economic independence that gives us some freedom from the federal government, at least as I'm arguing, that's not possible, and that this is something that we've not understood about our situation or about the economic situation in this country, that were it not for the terrorism, for instance, were it not for the terrorism that destroyed Black Wall Street, we would have learned the slower lesson that capitalism and our relationship to whatever we're calling it, capitalism, whatever people want to call it right now, doesn't allow for even the circulation of the dollar or the expansion of business or Black banking to evolve to the point where it could actually take care of the whole. So the argument that I put forth in the book is somewhat different than from the politics I'm generally associated with, in that I'm saying, in this sense, if we're going to do a sanctioned above board specifically electoral political activity, or look to engage in sanctioned above board commercial or business activity, in either case, we have to get more organized politically to understand the relationship that federal and policy and public policy plays in the development of wealth.
Okay.
The elite have, as others have put it, captured the political apparatus and are using it to develop the wealth that they can then, manipulate to their betterment. We have been conditioned or encouraged to believe that the only option we have is to develop an economic independent base from which to begin an operation politically. And that's, I think, misleading and misunderstanding the situation. So, and I think what I was going to say, and I'll just wrap up. Well, I'll just stop my point here by saying I definitely hope you will get the book and read it, and then we can have another series of discussions. I will happily come back out to Tulsa. We could chop it up for part 2 next year or whatever. But I did just want to, you mentioned it, so I just wanted to lay that out real quick. Go ahead.
But it goes back to what I said earlier. It's like a lot of the times, like I got some advice from someone. I'm not gonna mention their name. They said pay it forward, and it's like I didn't know. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way because it's like, man, like, can you pay it back before I can pay it forward? And for me, it's like I need that mentorship because I just don't know. Like I'm so ingrained in what I see and what I'm experiencing, and the fact that I live on the north side, the black side of Tulsa, and I work at this organization that like really controls a lot of different things economically in the city of Tulsa, and it's like I can only think about what I see, and it's like I need those mentors. Like, yo, it's not even like you give me the answer. It's like, have you checked this out? You should read this. Like that allows me to understand. Like I have a lot more work to do, and I understand. Like I am in a leadership position, and I take it serious. And for anything, I'm trying to make sure I take care of everyone. Like artists are being compensated for their time on this project. And that's the same type of like mindset that I want to take when it comes to like this political, like, jargon that I just don't understand. And so like for me to be able to have someone like you to like pour into me and to challenge me and critique, like I'm going to need that because I just don't know everything.
Well, none of us do, and I always quote the line, and I can't remember where I can never remember where I got it. I want to say Ward Churchill, but I'm never really sure. But that said, you go to undergrad and you think you know everything, then you go to graduate school and you realize you don't know anything, and then you get a PhD and you realize nobody knows anything, and it's the truest thing I've ever experienced in my life. Yeah, so on that level, I admit there are some areas where I have an arrogance and an ego, but for the most part, I'm more aware of just how much I don't know and how much work other people have been putting into so many other areas that it can get a little complicated. But look, man, I just wanted to again thank you for that initial invitation and for this work that sounds really fascinating that you're doing. And I definitely want to keep up and continue to build and have parts 2 and 3 and 4 and so on going forward. But I want to give you any last words, anything you want to leave us with, and definitely any contact information or how people can reach out or follow up with you social media wise or any other way to learn more about this project and to link up with you, going forward.
Yeah, we'll have some articles and things out at the beginning of April. We'll have our website up and going probably April 6th, April 7th, firelittleafrica.com. That provide an overview of the project, the people, entities that are involved. I will say, and asking me, what is the sound of Tulsa? And what I've been saying is God's gumbo. It's just really like a melting pot. We're in the Bible Belt, and it's really it's a mixture of a lot of different things and elements. So my goal is that people will subliminally get a history lesson in this project. It's not going to be very direct, but it's going to be very intentional, but it's going to be bangers on this project. It's not going to be like some corny rap. Like this is, it's going to be legit. So my goal is just people would be willing to listen to what we're trying to convey. And going back to earlier, like these artists embody the activist mindset. And I know a lot of people try to separate those things, but they truly have both of those within them. And I really want people to understand the beauty of what we're trying to accomplish and convey. And I guarantee that Finally Over Africa will be something that people will not want to miss out on for sure.